the king is coming. Bless y'all.
All praises. Shabbat Shalom, the king is coming. All right, let's run a prayer and then we'll get going. Sisters, cover your heads. Brothers, uncover your heads. And let us go to the throne room of the Most High God. Heavenly Father, blessed be your name forever, even forever and ever. Father, thank you so much for Yahweh Shai, who is our Savior and our chance to be forgiven for sins we could not be forgiven for under the old covenant, who is the fulfillment of the law of sacrifice for the forgiveness of sins. A great sacrifice he was, Father. And in order to live a life worthy of the sacrifice, we ourselves sacrifice our own lives with all our worldliness for righteousness. It is a better life in the flesh, and it shall surely be a better life in the spirit. We pray that today, Father, as we bring out this truth, that you would be with us, Father. Let it be all truth that comes out of our mouths today. I pray that all the souls that hear this, that need to hear this, would repent of their sins, Father, and come back and keep your commandments. Every Israelite and every sincere stranger that you have picked before, Father, they even came into the flesh. I pray, Father, that the lesson is powerful. I pray for those on their way that they make it safely. I pray for every Israelite keeping Shabbat today, that you bless their Shabbat, oh Father. And I pray, Father, you come back and save us from our enemies and the hands of all who hate us. Thank you for all the great works that you have been doing in the world. There is much war and strife, much repayment for the crushing of us, your people, O Father. And it is glorious. We give you thanks, Father. We give you praise, and we pray these things to Yahweh Shai's name, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus. And we say hallelujah, amen, hallelujah. So be it. All righty. Ready?
Gone.
Gone. All right, let's get going. See here. Oh, I was like, what is going on with the brightness of the screen? It's because I had turned it down. All right, so all praises. Let us get into this lesson. For those of us, for people joining online, welcome. I pray these scriptures and historical records edify you unto righteousness. And if you are of the seed of Satan, I already know it's going to prick you to the core and destroy your ego and your motivation. So I give the Most High thanks for that. Let's see here. Okay. So last week we looked at, the fact that the so-called European was in the caves of Mount Seir before he was in Europe, man. Okay? So before he was in Europe, he was in the caves of Mount Seir. Okay? Don't let this guy fool you into thinking, he's from Europe, because it's an outright and bold-faced lie. You understand? Right? So we looked at that last week. And this week we're going to continue by looking at a timeline, right? Of where this guy was and what he was doing at those particular times, right? So let's get the receipts of him being in the caves, okay, before he was in Europe, from the historical record. Last week we got it from the scriptures. This week we're going to pull it out from the historical record, all right? So we're going to start off with this video right here. Let's get it in.
But the Nabataeans never thought this would be happening. Ever since I first saw this, the magical city of Petra in Jordan, it just hasn't left my mind. It's one of the most beautiful, unusual, and iconic cities in the world. But I've learned something surprising. Petra is not the beginning of the story, it's the end. There's another lost city carved into the rock somewhere near here. I'm hoping to find the hidden origins of one of the greatest cities the world's ever seen.
My name is Albert Lin, and I look at the world in a unique way. I use 21st century technologies to look back into the past.
Check that out, I can actually fly through the secret ancient world.
Lasers that scan deserts, strip away dense jungle canopy, and scour the oceans to uncover the hidden worlds beneath.
We're wading into uncharted waters. That's what a real lost city looks like.
New discoveries in the most awe-inspiring places on Earth.
That's where pixels become reality.
That fill the gaps in our story. Who we are, where we came from, and the wonders we can achieve.
Here we are in the 13th century.
This is carved out of the earth, huh?
This is the new golden age of exploration.
We know their secrets. The people who lived here, in this city, well, they're originally nomads, traveling, trading across the Arabian desert, living in tents. And then in a leap, they built this. What happened?
So obviously that's not true, right? He said they were first, the people that built this city were first living in tents, and then they came and built that. Okay, that's a hijack, that's a bold-faced lie. And next class, and maybe even a bit this class, we're gonna address that, right? But nonetheless, let him tell his story, right? And then we'll get the truth. We'll pick the meat out of it and spit out the bones.
I want to find out who they were, where they came from, and what came before all this. New clues about them are being discovered in the desert rocks. My journey was taking me to the deserts of Jordan, once home to the builders of Petra, a nomadic tribe known as the Nabataeans. Today, these deserts are still traveled, but by their distant cousins, Bedouins. Mohammedan is one of them.
Petra's hidden origins, lost cities with Albert.
Remember the most I told you that Esau, at the very beginning of his as soon as he left his father's house, the first thing he did was take a Canaanite wife and a Nabataean wife. And we looked at that in part one. We looked at the scriptures in part one that prove that. Okay, so it's no wonder that now with all the deception and the smoke screens, this guy is now calling the people who lived in those rock formations Nabataeans. It's no wonder, okay? Because when you look at Esau, how does he trace lineage? He traces lineage to the father, the mother, anything. It's just a bunch of confusion when God tells you that the lineage is traced to the father. So this guy Lynn here, he's basically, under the glass ceiling of the lies and confusion of Esau. And so now he's calling these people Nabataeans, but we'll see what the archaeology says about them, right?
Oh la la! Very good. This is the most epic car I've ever been in. We don't have brakes, the door doesn't work, and you have only wires as keys.
We don't have a brake, maybe we enter to the camera.
Mohammed is the antiquities supervisor for an area that covers 280 square miles of desert called Wadi Rum.
Is this it?
Yeah, here.
He's helping me find clues about the ancient civilization who traveled and traded here around 400 BC.
This one, Nabataean writing, yeah.
That's Nabataean.
Yeah.
What does it say?
He writes his name and regards for
Regards, like welcome, or...
Yeah.
So this is a welcome message from the Nabataeans.
Yeah, from this guy.
The Nabataean merchants who crossed this desert 2,500 years ago left signs for each other in the rocks.
They're incredible. Camels.
Yeah. This is like a sign for caravan. Like you see this camel like this, they go to the south. They tell you where the direction to go to the water.
Ancient signposts. Out here in the desert.
Muhammad scans the ancient rock art into an app on his phone. This allows him to build a database in the cloud.
Now I take a picture for rock art. And
that picture has a geospatial tag on it?
Yeah, I keep it.
So then you collect these geotags across the entire landscape.
Yeah.
And then bring to life the Nabataean trade route. Each one of these walls is like the pages of a book, telling the story of the Nabataeans, their names, how they lived.
Yeah, everything.
We're in business.
We follow the direction the ancient camel's pointing and head for the nearest water source. Like the Nabataeans before him, Muhammad and his fellow Bedouin set up camp around water holes in the Wadi Rum. We upload the scans of the geotagged rock markings, and a pattern begins to emerge.
This is actually the spot that we were. So you've collected all of those points around every single rock.
I am. Everywhere place you have a lot of inscription, you will find settlements or spring of the water.
You know, looking at my GPS track of the sites that Muhammad showed me today, there's a clear link. Signs carved into rock pointing to water. That's how the Nabataeans worked. That was their secret sauce. They knew where the water was.
With that knowledge, they create a huge network of trade routes, crossing the harshest landscapes on Earth. They import exotic goods from Africa and India to sell to the Greeks, Egyptians, and Romans. Their most profitable product is this: frankincense. The Romans alone buy the modern equivalent of 180 million US dollars worth every year. As the money rolled in, their desire to settle seems to have grown. But I'm told that Petra might not have been the first place they put down roots.
We're now flying over the Jordanian desert in a Black Hawk. Now I have the military helping me find lost cities.
Bob Bewley is an aerial archaeologist. He traces the ancient water sources and trade routes of the Nabataeans from above.
So what we're looking at is the connection of these blue dots, and we're trying to see how they all join up. And, you know, every time we fly, we see things. So on the end of that hill, you can see something. The whole landscape is full of archaeology. What you have to try and do is find out which bits are Nabataean and which aren't. And that's the hardest thing.
Okay, let's open up the door, right?
That's when it gets windy.
Oh, man!
Can you see the track there, Albert, on the left-hand side?
Where?
Along the ridge there.
Right there?
Yeah.
Okay.
And although we're looking at a modern road, it's built on the ancient road. And now we're going to follow it.
Ancient writings suggest that somewhere along this highway lies a Nabataean city hidden in the mountains, one that predates Petra by hundreds of years.
Oh, it's gotta be this! I can see the modern highway, but you can see the ancient highway running right next to it.
Okay, level off straight ahead. That's it, lovely. So that's the track running up the hill there. Yeah.
We approach a barren mountaintop, surrounded by steep valleys.
That's lovely.
11 o'clock, right here?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I see it.
This rocky plateau doesn't look like any lost city I've ever seen before. But the ancient Greek writings describe the nomadic Nabataeans setting up home here, possibly for the first time.
Happy to land? Yeah. Fantastic.
The city is called Selah, Hebrew for rock.
Incredible. That's amazing, isn't it? Look at that dust.
We just landed on the ancient highway.
Selah has never been scanned by lasers before. I'm launching an expedition to the summit, 3,000 feet above sea level, with my LiDAR team, to uncover the secrets of this mysterious place.
I'm 1 mile west now of the old highway, and I've hit a wall, literally. Deep within that mountain range, high up on one of the plateaus, is the ancient city of Selah. And the only way in is up.
The scanning kit is being loaded up, ready for the expedition. The LiDAR team and I are heading to one of the last fully unexplored Nabataean sites. And Jordan's acclaimed archaeologist, Mohammed Najjar, is leading the ascent.
Marhaba. How are you, my friend?
Good to see you.
Yeah, it's been too long.
It's a treacherous hike to the top. Mohammed has assembled a team with local knowledge to help us, including surveyor Ahmed Marafi.
Ahmed, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Albert.
Do you reckon it's going to balance?
Hi. Hey, Joe.
Hey man, how's it going?
Good to see you. Wow.
I've never carried LiDAR kit on a donkey before, or on a horse.
This is high tech meets ancient tech.
Yeah.
Are you ready? Let's go. Yalla. Yalla.
Yalla, my friend, yalla.
I don't know what to expect at the top. What I do know is we're heading to 3,000 feet above sea level, and it's gonna be a tough climb.
It's like a maze.
Yes, it is.
Those steps, are those?
Yes, that's our way up.
Wow.
This is the only way to climb to Selah. There's no other way.
The steps are the first hint that this bare mountain has been shaped by people.
It's gotta be 90 degrees out here right now.
Yeah. What we do.
This is like a ancient skyscraper up here. Incredible. You know, it's funny when you walk through here, you can almost sense the path of somebody walking through the same little canyon.
Yeah,
The exact same stairs.
exactly.
Just 2,000 years ago. Or more.
So we can smell the history, right?
Well, I smell donkey farts, but this would be an intense commute for a Nabataean.
"1,000 steps, and we're only halfway up the vertical climb. The terrain is brutal, and the questions keep coming.
It just seems like an unbelievable amount of effort to build your world on top of a mountain in the middle of an arid desert. Should we take a break and drink some water, guys? Stay away from the mean donkey. You know, water is like, it's how you live, but this desert is so dry. How do you survive on top of a mountain, surrounded by dirt, and no rivers nearby? Nothing to farm. How could you hold out? Feels like we're getting close. This way, huh?
Finally, we reach the top.
Look at these steps, huh?
Yeah, it's ancient.
That's incredible. The 360 viewpoint for the entire area. You can imagine that somebody stood here thousands of years ago, keeping an eye out for the rest of their community.
That's why it's a natural fortress.
If this is the place named in the ancient Greek texts, then it was once a treasury for Nabataean silver worth 10 million US dollars in today's money. Its location, a formidable stronghold. But how did this lifeless crop with no water source become home to a city of people? To hunt for clues, we plan to LiDAR scan the whole plateau.
The access to so much of it is virtually impossible.
And it also looks like sheer drops everywhere. I mean, it's deadly, basically, to explore
Absolutely,
this, right?
yeah.
So hopefully we can go places that wouldn't be safe to go otherwise.
Okay, we're good to go.
This is a very dangerous place to
It's
fly.
a risky location, yeah. We're going to have all eyes on the drone at all times.
This is like super advanced drone flying.
Yeah.
This is super expert model.
This is level 10, for sure.
It's hard to believe this barren place was once home to hundreds, even thousands of people. If they left any evidence, I'm banking on my technology to find it. "30 miles north of Petra, I'm laser scanning the ancient city of Selah for the very first time. I'm looking for clues that the nomadic Nabataeans settled here.
Look at this. There's pottery just like falling out of the ground.
That's the indication for people living here.
This is somebody's fingerprint.
Yes, exactly.
My finger fits perfectly, so somebody, that's crazy. You can just feel somebody's fingerprint right here. Locked in time. Unbelievable.
The pottery proves people were here, but it's not clear who. It could simply be the guards charged with protecting the Nabataeans' treasure.
Look at this. You got a staircase. Where does it go?
Up.
Probably it's a place to pray.
Yes, absolutely.
You think so?
Yeah.
You look for a high place to be closer to the gods.
So far, all I've found is a piece of pottery and an ancient stairway to heaven.
I guess this is all sandstone, right?
Yes, it is.
So over 2,000 years, the landscape has sort of melted away.
The desert winds and winter rains are eroding the soft sandstone into strange shapes. But I can just make out curious, regular markings in the rocks.
Wow, look around. What are these little holes up here?
Well, actually, this is the traditional Nabataean house. So they were living here.
Here's our first sort of definitive clue. The man said this is the traditional Nabataean house, okay? And they were living here, all right? Again, remembering that first thing Esau did was take an actual Nabataean wife, right? And a Canaanite wife, all right? And remember, this is north of Petra, which Esau took from the Horites, all right? And Petra is full of cave dwellings, okay? And this is north of Petra, along the King's Highway, which Esau owned, all right? So just take note of that. Let's keep going.
And you can see the marks of the axe that they've been using to carving.
Yes, these are chisel marks. Yes, exactly.
Somebody was just sitting here chiseling away, creating a space for their family, maybe.
Carving caves into dwellings suggests that they spent long stretches of time here.
Look at the beautiful view here, and it's unbelievable. This is the east. The sun will come up. It will be sunny in this spot.
The cave's position reveals the reason for the strange, regular markings above the entrance. They're post holes for their tent poles.
You have this, shelter in front of your house.
So they've gone from living in tents to combining tents with living in stone then.
The evidence is stacking up that homes were created at Selah. But it's hot, exposed, and desert dry, without a single water source on the whole outcrop. No one can survive without water. So how did the Nabataeans? I'm hoping my LiDAR data can help solve the mystery.
So we hiked up here, right?
Yes. Yeah, right there.
It's a lot easier from a computer, isn't it?
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah, it is. I think this is the way to look at the site, because if you look at small part, you cannot understand. I mean, you need to look at the whole site together, and then you can understand the dynamics.
Looks like it's starting to be shaped by human hands.
No, that's true. That's true. I mean, look at that. Look at this picture.
The LiDAR data reveals water tanks cut into the rock, almost invisible to the naked eye. After 3 days of scanning, we've logged an incredible 51 underground tanks. Here at Selah, it's the first time anyone has uncovered the extent of rainwater harvesting.
You have to channel the water, the rainwater, the runoff from the face of the rock to these cisterns.
We can now estimate that these man-made tanks contain about 200,000 gallons of rainwater, plenty to sustain over 1,000 permanent settlers. It's an exciting discovery.
They were nomads at the beginning. They were like wind, and then there was a shift in their consciousness. I mean, they started to be attached to the land. So that's very important moment when they moved from tents to caves.
They're turning the landscape into a home, a permanent home.
Our LiDAR
The brother said it's a very important moment when they move from tents to caves. Okay, remember, Esau left his father's house, all right? His father Isaac's house, all right? Where they dwelt in what? Tents, right? And moved into caves, man, all right? So just bear these clues in mind as you're watching.
Our data transforms what we know of Selah. The Nabataeans' ingenuity and knowledge of water enables them to settle, living together in a permanent city here in the dry, rocky desert. It's a stepping stone to Petra. The journey has begun.
I really feel like on this journey of discovery, I'm connecting back in time with the Nabataean people. Their travels across shifting sands. Well, eventually they settled, carved a home into solid rock. And with that added security came a new layer of life in the city. And here at Amman, at the Jordan Museum, I'm told that there's a lot more evidence of that evolution from nomad to Petra.
Inside the museum are relics that reveal a spectacular, unexpected leap in the Nabataean story. Finely carved statues that look ancient Greek and Roman.
Okay, family. The brother said ancient Nabataean statues that look what? He said the museum has ancient Nabataean statues. They look what?
Greek. Roman and Greek.
The man said they look Greek and Roman. Look at these statues. These are Ishmaelites, family. These are the faces of Ishmael. I've never once seen Ishmael without a beard on his face. Not once. But they have a whole collection of statues that's supposed to be Ishmael, but it looked exactly Greek and Roman. Now watch the lie that this brother is going to tell on behalf of National Geographic Explorer, man. I'm just baffled, right? The artifacts don't lie, right? Esau lies, but the artifacts don't lie, right? Let's watch what he's going to say.
Yet these are Nabataean, gathered from a finely carved statues that look ancient Greek and Roman. Yet these are Nabataean, gathered from a city that boomed after Selah. These carvings suggest that their architecture is shifting from survival to opulence. Scanning the
Can somebody tell me a time where they ever saw a so-called Arab, an Ishmaelite, carve a statue of a naked little child?
Never.
That's the exact opposite of what Ishmael does. Has anyone ever seen an Ishmaelite statue drawing a historical artifact with Ishmael running around without a shirt? Has anyone ever seen any of that?
No.
I haven't seen it either, family. Ishmael's men and women are always fully clothed. They don't get into the nakedness, man. I mean, in modern age, I mean, the women, I think when you're married, you gotta cover your face. You gotta wear a burqa. Yet they were in the desert carving naked statues of babies that look like Edomites from Greece and Rome, right? Who is going to believe this? The sad truth is that many people have already believed this. Many people, when you tell them this is obviously a sham, they're going to look at you sideways like, what do you know? You're not an archaeologist. Do I need to be an archaeologist to see the ancient artifacts of one people and the ancient artifacts of another people and be able to differentiate between these two cultures? I don't need to be an archaeologist, man, in order to see what's right in front of my eyes. Greeks and Romans, the brother said. Now, that's not even their real name. We know it's Edom because I'm going to show you guys that the Greeks, the original Greeks and the real Greeks and Romans were all Asian people, right? But I had to pause here and point out the fact that these people really think we're stupid, man. Right? And Esau really tries to play everyone for an absolute fool, right? And 99.9% of the time, it works. But the minute you begin to use your own brain, you cannot be convinced that this is a group of Ishmaelite people. It just doesn't add up, right? Let's keep watching. So this is one piece of damning evidence that he took these things and put them in the museum, right? To make sure if you're just passing by, you're not gonna know. He can tell you whatever he want to tell you about the particular sites, right? You gotta pay money to go see what was actually there, right? But let's continue.
The relics will allow us to fit them back where they belong.
So cool. Instantaneously, I can create a 3D model of this facade, but just getting up close here, you can actually see the chisel marks, and it feels like you almost sense the moment that the Nabataeans are coming into their age, their renaissance. Now let's get the Gemini. So what I have to do is I just have to do a really steady scan, and we're actually using the camera on the data pad that's creating something called structured light. And if I can do it steady enough from that little sweep, generate a mesh and see it's doing it now. Look at that. Wow. And I'll add up a series of these different models to one awesome model. But the Nabataeans never thought this would be happening.
To reunite these relics with their original buildings, I'm back on an ancient Nabataean trading route. One that leads to the ruins of Khirbet and Dharih. Archaeologists are still excavating this city. But it's clear something extraordinary was happening here. My guide is surveyor Ahmad Marafi.
Okay, Albert, this is the Nabataean city.
Wow. This is a new thing. This is a design, a layout that was created by somebody's mind to try something new. We're gonna build walls. Somebody's gonna be over here, and they're gonna have a house over there, and then somebody's gonna have a place to cook over here. Somebody's sitting in a bathhouse right over there.
So family, this is the place that they got those statues from, okay? Just to be clear, this is the place that they got those statues from, those relics.
That's true. And I'm sure they were very happy.
This is a completely new idea. It seems like they were, incrementally moving forward, right? You start out as a nomadic society, and then Selah, that's step one, and then this.
There's another innovation. This city has a central focus, a temple.
Near the temple we go.
The Nabataean kings, they sacrificed the animals here on this altar.
Right there?
Yeah, right there.
Walk me through the process. I'm a Nabataean king. Now I stand here in front of this altar. What happens next?
First, you have to walk around the holy place.
Up here now.
Yeah, up. So we are now on the altar.
So you lay your animal here, and what
Yeah.
happens?
Cut the throat to let the blood go inside these holes.
These little holes.
Yeah.
These are blood holes.
Yeah, this is blood holes.
Blood spilled from animals went down these holes.
That's true.
The statues I scanned at the museum once adorned the facade of this temple. To create a complete vision of this new Nabataean site requires a full digital scan. It's the first time this has ever been done. It's a complex undertaking, demanding detailed scanning from the air and on the ground. Merging the data creates a new vision of this spectacular, long-lost temple. Crowning the temple are the museum relics back in their original home. This place reveals the evolution from their starter city at Selah.
Somebody help me out here. This is Ishmael's temple?
No.
This is Ishmael's temple, family. Lions, so-called Greek and Roman pillars, so-called Greek and Roman people's faces on the front of the temple. So-called Greek and Roman architecture used on not just the roof, but the door, right? The windows, right? But this is somehow what do you call it? Ishmaelite temple, right? I mean, really? Right? We're supposed to believe that. Right in your face, the man uses computer to reconstruct the temple, right? And you get the facade of your central bank. You get the facade of your what do you call it? White House in America, right? Right? All stolen from the original Japhites by Esau and called Greek and Roman architecture, which we'll get into. And this guy says this is no, this is Ishmael. This is 100% Ishmael. And National Geographic gives him money to put together this propaganda, right? To feed to people, man. And when you get a chance, you should go in the comments to see what people are saying. Oh, this is wonderful, breathtaking. Just in a dream, you know. He's gonna reveal one more at least one more point here at about the 35th minute, and then we'll keep it pushing, right? Madness.
"40 miles away, in Petra, Nabataean builders take city design to a whole new level. heading back to the ancient wonder that is Petra. Here, the Nabataeans put everything they'd learned about creating cities to the test.
Look at that. Just like at Selah, these are post holes for like a veranda. It would have been wood structures, beams coming out here, maybe with some cloth or something to create shade.
With time, as more set up home here, the city swells in size. The money flows in and the architecture becomes more elaborate, incorporating styles seen on their travels.
Like I'm witnessing the transition of the Nabataeans through time, right here.
By the time of Christ, Petra was the beating heart of a thriving Nabataean empire. From here, they controlled the trade routes from south to north and east to west.
Family, in this time, who controls the trade routes from north, south, east, and west? In this present time, who controls the trade routes north, south, east, and west?
Edomites?
Edomites. Who did we have to ask permission to go through the king's highway to get into Canaan? Anyone? Who did we have? Moses had to ask permission of someone to go through the king's highway.
Esau.
Esau, that's right. The Edomites. So this is not new. Esau been controlling the trade routes, man. I mean, the Most High literally made it pass through his land, his own land, for him to control the trade route, right? To keep the clues pointing to who this devil is, man. Who is the wicked that the earth was given into their hands? The Most High keep giving you not even just breadcrumbs, just a whole big arrow pointing, saying that guy, right? And it's not new. From ancient times, the Most High set him up to be revealed, so that behind the smoke screens and the curtains, if you just peeped, you could see that the Wizard of Oz is Esau. You know? Let me see how much we got left on this. Yeah, we only have about a minute and a half left on this, and then we're gonna push on, because I think we pretty much got everything that we want to get from this, right?
Their wealth soared, and in Petra, they flaunted it. Hidden in an upscale part of town called Little Petra is a show home for the time. To get in there, I need special permission and a special guide, Her Royal Highness, Princess Dana Faraz.
I've never been showed one of the wonders of the world by a real-life princess. Amazing. I think that should be our new series together.
Yes, I'm game. Don't look, you cannot look. Just I'll lead you.
Tucked away in a rock-cut villa is tantalizing evidence of a Petra that once was.
I'm not looking, I'm not
Don't look.
Okay. There's something right above me. I'm not allowed to look at it yet.
This is very special. Now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keeping
Take
my
a
eyes
step up.
shielded.
Take a step up. Okay, turn. Back,
All right.
back. Okay, now look up. Isn't that wonderful?
It's beautiful.
Look at the colors.
This changes everything.
Recent restoration of this fresco portrays Petra as lush, fertile, and green.
You have grapevines. You have ivy. You have all sorts of food. Look at the birds.
It's
Can you see
magnificent.
the birds? This one's flying in.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere on every wall.
Yeah, you can find, look, there's, you know, the birds, the fauna, the flora.
The flutes,
The flutes.
It's that person holding a bow. Looks like this little
Yes,
bow.
yes,
That
that's a
almost looks
bow.
like a little Valentine. For me, up until now, Petra was just sandstone. And then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
there's a whole nother face to it. What I'm looking at isn't a description of a desert. This looks like...
Paradise.
It does, right?
Carbon dating places this fresco in the 1st century AD, when some 30,000 people were living in Petra. Transforming their desert city into the lush oasis Her Royal Highness showed me must have required vast water reserves.
Um, yeah. So what do you guys think of that last piece there? Right? What's going on here? Hmm? Remember, this is supposed to be the home of the Nabataeans. Those were Nabataeans?
Nah.
If those were Nabataeans, those Nabataeans must have been Greeks and Romans. Because last time I checked, the little Cupid, that's Greek and Roman. All those pictures that they showed on those walls, right? Those are pictures of so-called Arabs, man, in their glory. Is that what we were just watching? Or were we seeing paintings of Greeks, man? Now notice also, he said that these frescoes were painted in about 100 AD. We're going to go into the historical record and show you exactly why they were painted in 100 AD, right? I'll give you guys the scoop. Esau got oppressed in his land, kicked out of his land, went to Japheth's land, stole Japheth's whole history and culture, came back to his cave and pretty up the cave, man, with his stolen culture, right? And start telling you stories about it, right? That's what happened. And we're going to go into it. They said this was a rock-cut villa in Petra. And on the cave of the rock-cut villa, who you see? None other than your boy Esau, man. All right. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. So this place was called Khirbet I can't remember the name. Khirbet Dharih. Khirbet Dharih. Where is Khirbet Dharih? Right, this place, this city, this Nabataean city. Where is Khirbet Dharih? At 30 degrees 54 feet 26 inches north and 35 degrees 42 feet 10 inches east. Okay, that's where this place is. Okay, the Nabataean temple. All right. And you can see on the map here, this is the Dead Sea. This is the Gulf of Aqaba, I think it's called Aqaba or Akbar, something like that. I'm pretty sure it's Aqaba. So this place, this Nabataean temple is here, man. In the land of Edom. Okay. Where was Selah? Three miles north of the Edomite capital of Bozrah, man. Where was Selah? Selah was 3 miles north, which is the rock formation that he showed first, 3 miles north of the Edomite capital of Bozrah, man, right? In the rugged highlands of southern Jordan, right? It's an imposing natural rock fortress. It still carries the name Selah. Surrounded on all sides by deep ravines, the towering steep-sided rock of Selah rises more than 600 feet above the surrounding valleys, culminating in a broad, flat summit that can only be reached by an ancient, well-hidden staircase that follows a narrow cleft in the eastern face of the mountain. Though Selah has not been excavated, surface finds from the summit indicate it was occupied during several periods, including the early Bronze Age and the Nabataean period. Okay, early Bronze Age, let's find out what that is. So those mountains that he was in were occupied during the early Bronze Age, okay? Which they say is 3000 to 2100 BC, according to their own calculations, man. 3000 to 2100 BC, right? No, that's, oh yeah, early Bronze Age, right? Okay, let's keep going. Let's see. Though periods, early Bronze Age and the Nabataean period. But it saw its most extensive occupation and use during the early to mid first millennium BC. Okay, the early to mid first millennium BC mean from 1000 to about 500 BC. When did it see its most use? During the time of the biblical Edomites. That's when it's seen its most use, man. During the time of the biblical Edomites. Okay, this is their own scholars from biblicalarchaeology.org. This is their word. All right, let's keep going. Where is Selah? Where is Bozrah? Right, because it's 3 miles north of Bozrah. This is Bozrah. Okay, this is the land of Edom. I like this map because it kind of gives you a good view of like the topography of the land, right? Up in the Rocky Mountains, your boy, Petra in the crag of the rock right here, Bozrah, which we know even from the scriptures, that Bozrah was Esau's what? Capital city. Okay, and north of Bozrah, about 3 miles north of here, you have Selah, that rock formation. All right. So in the land of Edom, man, Edomites were everywhere. They were in Mount Seir, they were in Petra, they were in Bozrah, and north of here, they were in Selah as well. All right. And you know, if you go down here, it gives you the general area that it's in, which we know is the Mediterranean. Specifically, yep, there it is, the Gulf of Aqaba, between the Gulf of Aqaba and the Dead Sea was the land of Edom, man. The land of Edom. Okay. All right. Bozrah was the capital of Edom. Okay, let's just look at that real quick. Bozrah was the capital city of the Edomites. Again, this is their own writings, man, from Nabataean.net. Bozrah was the capital city of the Edomites once they settled from their nomadic lifestyle. Okay. It is located in modern-day Jordan along what? Along the King's Highway, man. Right? Which the scriptures, we looked at the scriptures last class. I think we looked at it. If not, we'll just take a quick gander. The King's Highway is owned by Esau, man. Right? And we had to ask Esau permission to use the King's Highway, right? Right? Let's see. Let me get Numbers 20. Let's see here. Numbers 20 from 14 to 17. Brother Chris, if you can give me Numbers 20 from 14 to 17, that'd be great.
Okay. This is the book of Numbers, chapter 20 and verse number 14. And Moses sent messages from Kadesh unto the kings of Edom. Thus saith thy brother Israel, thou knowest all the travail that hath befallen us, how our fathers went down into Egypt, and we have dwelt in Egypt a long time. And the Egyptians vexed us and our fathers. And when we cried unto the Lord, unto Yahweh, he heard our voice and sent an angel, and hath brought us forth out of Egypt. And behold, we are in Kadesh, a city in the utmost of thy border. Let us, I pray thee, through thy country. We will not pass through the fields or through the vineyards, neither will we drink of the water of the wells. We will go by the king's highway. We will not turn to the right hand nor to the left until we have passed thy borders.
See that? They'll go by what? We will go by the what?
The king's highway.
Right. The King's Highway, man. So since the time of Moses, Esau already owned the King's Highway, man. Right? And permission had to be asked to pass through the King's Highway. You know? There's the King's Highway. Yeah? There it is. Right? To pass through, to go into Israel, man, is the easier way. And they would have came through, if I remember correctly, basically here. Okay, they would have came down here by the water and then up to, okay, to get into Canaan in order to avoid the Canaanites, a war with the Canaanites, as the Most High said right here on the, passing through this way, right? And we looked at it, I'm pretty sure, last service, last Shabbat. Okay, moving on. See what else we got on Bozrah here. Bushira, Bushira, also Bushira, and so on, is a town in Tafila Governorate in Jordan, located between the towns of Tafila and Shubak, and closer to the latter. Bozrah, right, is a biblical city identified by some researchers with an archaeological site situated in the town of Bozrah. All right. Bozrah means sheepfold or enclosed in Hebrew and was a pastoral city in Edom, southeast of the Dead Sea. All right. According to the biblical narrative, it was the home of one of Edom's kings, Jobab son of Zerah, and the homeland of Jacob's twin brother Esau. All right, and we have the general location of Bozrah here once again. Okay, another receipt on where Bozrah is, which is southeast of the Dead Sea. All right, between the Dead Sea here and the Gulf of Aqaba here, and right here is the Mediterranean Sea. All right. All right. Oh, hold on. All right. So, I don't remember where I got this receipt here for Bozrah. Let me see if I can pull it up. When was Bozrah occupied? Bozrah was the capital city of the Ghassanid Principality and the Byzantine suzerainty. It was captured by the Arabs. No, don't want that here. Let's see. Okay, we'll keep it pushing. I found this somewhere, but I don't have the receipt, so I'm not really gonna touch on that. Okay, so at the same time that Esau was in the caves of Mount Seir and Petra and the stone cities of Selah and Khirbet Dharih. He was also under the hand of Judah, man, right? During and after a period that the Edomites call the Dark Age, all right? It says here, this is actually the first Dark Age, not the Dark Ages that he spoke of in 476 to the 1400s, all right? But a previous Dark Age, right? Now, did you guys know that in Esau's history, there was multiple Dark Ages? Because I didn't know that before researching this topic. Did you guys know that? That he had more than one Dark Age?
Yep.
All praises, all praises. Yeah, I had no clue until I started researching
I
this.
had no idea.
All praises, right? Yeah, I thought he only had one Dark Age, and it was from the 4th century onward, right? Which we'll read a little bit about here. But apparently, in his historical record, he records 2 Dark Ages. Okay, and we'll break it down. It says here about the Middle Ages. The Middle Ages, the medieval period of European history between the fall of the Roman Empire, right, at the beginning of the Renaissance, are sometimes referred to as the Dark Ages, okay? People use the phrase Middle Ages to describe Europe. This is from history.com. People use the phrase Middle Ages to describe Europe between the fall of Rome in 476 Common Era, all right, and the beginning of the Renaissance in the 14th century. All right, so that's the Dark Age that I knew of. All right, but there is another Dark Age that he mentions. Okay, and we're gonna pull up, you know, when he considered this Dark Age to be, right? And you will see that it's from about 1200 BC to about 900 BC. Esau considers this his Dark Ages, right? And let's see why. So from about 1000 to 962 BC, all of Edom was under the hand of David, All of Edom was under the hand of David. Let's go to 2 Samuel 1. I will read from verse 1. Let me get that, Sister Akira.
Pardon?
2 Samuel 1:1.
Okay. Sorry, I'm eating. Give me a second.
That's fine. If you're eating, I can have Brother Chris read, and then you can read the next scripture.
No, I'm done. I can read it now.
Go ahead.
All right. My thing is glitching. Hold on. All right. Now it came to pass after the death of Saul, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Amalekites,
Amalekites.
and David had to abode 2 days in Ziklag.
Mm-hmm.
It came even to pass on the 3rd day that, behold, a man came out of the camp from Saul, with his clothes rent, and earth upon his head. And so it was, when he came to David, that he fell to the earth and did obeisance.
Yeah, obeisance. So stop right there. Who are the Amalekites? Anyone on the line that knows who are the Amalekites? Who's their forefather?
Esau.
Who is the? That's right. Do you have the proof? I think it's Genesis 36. All right. Genesis 36. I'll go from verse 9. And this is the genealogy of Esau, the father of the Edomites, in Mount Seir. These were the names of Esau's sons: Eliphaz, the son of Adah, the wife of Esau, and Ruel, the son of Basemath, the wife of Esau. And the sons of Eliphaz were Teman. Very important to remember this. Teman, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, and Kenaz. Now, Timnah was concubine of Eliphaz. All right, so this lady named Timnah was what? The concubine or female slave of Eliphaz, Esau's son. And she bore Amalek to Eliphaz. All right, so certainly the Amalekites are Edomites. All right, certainly the Amalekites are Edomites. And David, after the death of Saul, he was slaughtering the Amalekites, man. Right? And some little kid came to him and bowed down before him. Right? Read on. Verse 3.
And David said unto him, From whence comest thou?
Mm-hmm.
And he said unto him, Out of the camp of Israel am I escaped.
Right.
And David said unto him, How went the matter? I pray thee, tell me. And he answered, That the people are fled from the battle, and many of the people also are fallen and dead. And Saul and Jonathan his son are dead also.
Right.
And David said unto the young man that told him, How knowest thou that Saul and Jonathan his son be dead? And the young man that told him said, As I happened by chance upon Mount Gilboa, behold, Saul leaned upon his spear, and lo, the chariots and horsemen followed hard after him.
Read on.
And when he looked behind him, he saw me and called unto me, and I answered, Here am I.
Mm-hmm.
And he said unto me, Who art thou? And I answered him, I am an Amalekite.
Right. So the young man said that he was a Edomite, man. Yeah, I'm from Amalek, Saul. Right? So go ahead.
He said unto me again, Stand, I pray thee, upon me, and slay me, for anguish is come upon me, because my life is yet whole in me.
Right.
So I stood upon him and slew him, because I was sure that he could not live after that he was fallen. And I took the crown that was upon his head and the bracelet that was on his arm, and have brought them hither unto my Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Then David took hold on his clothes and rent them, and likewise all the men that were with him. And they mourned and wept and fasted until even for Saul and for Jonathan his son, and for the people of Yahweh, and for the house of Israel, because they were fallen by the sword.
Mm-hmm.
Continue.
Cool. Yep.
And David said unto the young man that told him, Whence art thou? And he answered him, I am the son of a stranger, an Amalekite.
Right.
And David said unto him, How wast thou not afraid to stretch forth thine hand to destroy Yahweh's anointed?
Mm-hmm.
And David called one of the young men and said, Go near and fall upon him. And he smote him that he died.
Right.
And
That's all.
David said,
That's all I want there. Right.
Okay.
So this guy come telling David, hey, listen, I killed Saul because he asked me to kill him, and I'm an Edomite. And David said to one of the young men, kill this man. Okay. All right. So they done off this guy. All right. That's not the end of the matter. What happens, again, we came here to see that all of Edom was under the hand of David. So David, first of all, had power over this particular young man, an Edomite. And then let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 8, and we'll see the end of the matter.
Hey, Dad, I'm here.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good. Yeah, get yourself situated. 2 Samuel chapter 8, and let's go from 9 to 15. Brother Chris, go ahead. Second Samuel chapter 8, from verse 9 to verse 15. You got it, or you want me to call somebody else, bro? If you're speaking, I can't hear you, by the way.
I can get it. Just give me 1 second. Let me pull it up.
No problem.
2 Samuel. I've been trying to put it every time I keep pressing the wrong buttons on my phone. 2 Samuel what?
Chapter 8, yeah, from verse 9 to verse 15.
Okay, this is book of 2 Samuel chapter 8 and verse number 9. When Toi, king of Hamath, heard that David had smitten all the host of Hadadezer.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Then Toi sent Joram, his son, unto King David to salute him and to bless him, because he had fought against Hadadezer and smitten him. For Hadadezer had warred with Toi, and Joram brought with him vessels of silver and vessels of gold and vessels of brass, which also King David did dedicate unto Yahweh, with the silver and gold that he had dedicated, that he had dedicated of all nations which he subdued, of Syria and of Moab and of the children of Ammon and of the Philistines and of Amalek and of the spoils of Hadadezer, son of Rehob, king of Zobah. And David gat him a name when he returned from smiting of the Syrians in the valley of Salt, being 18,000 men.
So stop right there. 11 says, David did dedicate unto Yahweh with silver and gold, the things he had dedicated of all nations which he subdued. Okay? And under the list of subdued nations, he mentions here Amalek, man. Right? which is an Edomite nation. All right. Now, let's see if it was just Amalek or if it was everybody that he had subdued at that particular time in Edom. Go ahead.
Verse number 14. And he put garrisons in Edom. Throughout all Edom, he garrisons. And all they of Edom became David's servants.
Some of them.
All they of Edom became David's servants.
Go ahead.
All of them.
Yep.
And Yahweh preserved David whithersoever he went. And David reigned over Israel, and David executed judgment and justice unto all his people.
All praises, right? So Saba, so David reigned over all Edom, man, right? And this was happening between 1000 to 962 BC, according to their own timelines, man, right? And we'll pull up the receipt on that. Let me get First Chronicles 18:12, Saba. Brother Sean, you there as well? Brother Sean, you're on? One second here. Okay. I just saw that Brother Sean sent me a message saying he won't be at class today. He won't be at service today. Okay. So Saba, let me get Second Chronicles. First Chronicles chapter 18 and verse 12.
Okay. Moreover,
Hold on a second,
Abishai-
let me get there. Hold on, let me get there. Go ahead. Go ahead. Saba, if you're speaking, we can't hear you.
Moreover, Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, slew of the Edomites in the valley of Salt 18,000. And he put garrisons in Edom, and all the Edomites became David's servants. Thus Yahweh preserved David whithersoever he went.
Right. Okay. All praises. So, when did this happen? Let's go pull it up. We said 1000 to about 962 BC. All right. We got the receipt here from Britannica. It says David had reigned from about 1000 to 962 BC, a period in which he consolidated a federation of tribes that had been united under the charismatic leadership of Saul. Now we know we can't always depend on these people's things, okay? Their what do you call it? Accounts, okay? But it's always very interesting to see that even in their own accounting, things line up with what the scriptures say, man. Right? So are we going to use that? Of course, man. Right? It says who charismatic leadership of Saul, who had reigned for about 2 decades before David began to construct his minor empire. Solomon, who inherited a strong monarchy, reigned for 40 years. But the point here is that David had reigned from 1000 to 962 BC, man. They have it written in their own historical record that this is the time that was going on. Okay? Right? And at that time, guess what, man? Esau was still in the cave. You know? Cause what? He's being now ruled over by David, man. And the scriptures tell you straight up, David put garrisons in Edom. So how could Esau be in Greece and in Rome in 1000 BC and 1200 and 900 BC, which he's going to tell you in his history books, when God tells me that you were under oppression, bro? You were under oppression under the hand of King David, right? The Most High told me that, you know. And now you're confirming it in your own books, man. But yet in another place, you write a different story. So who's lying? You or God? Well, it has to be you. You know? Okay. So we're gonna move on to the next time period, right? We're gonna get all the way into present day, all right? So we have between 1,000, and you might see some gaps because there are some gaps. There's just some things, there's gaps, right? In all history, right? People don't know every single thing that happened in history. Nobody knows, whether it be the scholars. Not even in the scriptures does the Most High tell us what happened every single year in reality. Okay, everything's things are on a need to know basis, and the Most High left crumbs and spaces for faith, man. Because at the end of the day, people either believe Esau, even though Esau does not have all the proof and receipts, or they believe the Most High God, you know. So, going here to 852, right? We're working with what we got, 852 to 841 BC, all right? We got Second Chronicles 21 from 5 to 10. Let me get that, Sister Kira. Second Chronicles 21. Let me see if I can jump there. 21. See if I can get the blue letter today. Second Chronicles 21. We will go from 5 to 10. Second Chronicles 21 from 5. All right, go ahead.
Okay, from 5?
Yeah, from 5 to 10, yeah.
Jehoram was 32 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 8 years in Jerusalem. And he walked in the way of the kings of Israel, like as did the house of Ahab. For he had a daughter of Ahab to wife, and he wrote that which was evil in the eyes of Yahweh.
He wrought, okay? He wrought that which was evil, meaning he did what was evil in the eyes of Yahweh. Go ahead.
He wrought that which was evil in the eyes of Yahweh. Howbeit, Yahweh would not destroy the house of David, because of the covenant that he had made with David, and as he promised to give light to him and his sons forever.
Right.
In his days, the Edomites revolted from under the dominion of Judah and made themselves a king.
Right.
And then Jehoram went forth with his princes and all his chariots with him, and he rose up by night and smote the Edomites which compassed him in. Or I think so.
Yeah, compass is good. Yeah, that's
compassed.
Yep.
Okay. Compassed him in, and the captains of the chariots.
Right.
So the Edomites revolted from under the hand of Judah unto this day.
Right.
The same time also did Libnah revolt from under his hand, because he had forsaken Yahweh of his fathers, God of his fathers.
That's right. All right. So the most I tell you here plain, hey, listen, the Edomites revolted at a certain time from under the dominion of Judah. And he said they made themselves a king at the time that they did that as well. Now remember, the Edomites also had kings long before Israel had any king, right? But David had subdued them, okay, and they broke out of that submission, under Jehoram, right? Because Jehoram was just doing wickedness, man. Right? So anytime we're doing wickedness, the Most High raise up a evil adversary against us, right? And in a lot of cases, it's Esau, right? So this time, the Edomites revolt from under the hand of David, okay? And that happened between 852 and 841 BC, okay? So you can count that, from about 1,000 BC until, anywhere until at least 852 BC, Esau was subjugated under Israel, man, right? They were slaves to Israel, man, right? Okay, so let's just look at the receipt showing how we know about what time period it was, right? Let's go here. It says Jehoram began to reign in Israel in the 18th year of Jehoshaphat of Judah and ruled 12 years. William F. Albright dated his reign to 849 to 842 BC. Okay, whereas Thiel proposed 852 to 841. So all I did was go with the oldest, right, to the youngest dates between these two opposing scholars. All right, and this is the receipt here. Okay, right here. And it's from this book by Edwin Thiel, The Mysterious Numbers of Hebrew Kings. All right. All right. So we got 852 to 841 BC. Esau rebels from under the hand of Judah. At that time, I believe that Esau, had begun his colonization of Europe. Why do I say that? When you look in the historical record, before Columbus came to America, at about 1000 AD, Edomites had already come here and tried to establish, a few settlements. Okay, never worked out, so they left. And then later on, the so-called Spanish sent in Christopher Columbus, and this time around it worked. Okay, I see this as a pattern and a habit. Esau always scouts the area, right? And we're gonna look at the receipts on that. He scouted the area, he started making inroads, maybe some allies, and then once he's established, basically his hands are in your power base, then he attacks. Okay, and we can see that he did that with Israel, with Doeg the Edomite, right? Killing all the priests, because he got in good with one of our wicked leaders. We see them burning the first and second temple. We see them destroying the city of Jerusalem, even though they had allyship with the Maccabees. I mean, there's too many receipts. Okay. So let's move on to 797 to 767. All right. So Esau, in 852 to 841, between that time, rebels from under the hand of Judah, possibly start making inroads into Europe. In fact, I believe he definitely had started making inroads into Europe at that time. And remember, when we say Europe here, we're really talking about Japheth's land, okay? Because that whole area actually belongs to Japheth. So 797 to 767 BC, Amaziah takes Selah, right? One of the cities that we're just looking at in that documentary, he took Selah from Edom, right? And we can pull that up in 2 Kings. We can read from 1 to 10 with special focus on 7. All right, so let's go 2 Kings 14. 2 Kings 14, right, from 1. Saba, let me get that. If you're speaking, we can't hear you.
So 1 to what?
10.
All right.
All right.
In the second year of Joash, son of Jehoahaz, king of Israel, reigned Amaziah, the son of Joash, king of Judah. He went 20 years. He was 25 years old when he began to reign, and reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Jehoiadan of Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
And he did that which was right in the sight of Yahweh, yet not like David his father. He did according to all things as Jehoash as Joash his father did.
Right.
Howbeit the high places were not taken away, as yet the people did sacrifice and burned incense on the high places.
Right.
And it came to pass, as soon as the kingdom was confirmed in his hands, that he slew his servant which had slain the king of his father.
The king, his father. Right. Go ahead.
Yeah. But the children of the murderers he slew not,
Mm-hmm.
according unto that which is written in the book of the law of Moses, wherein Yahweh commanded, saying, the fathers shall not be put to death for the children, nor the children be put to death for the fathers, but every man shall be put to death for his own sin.
Right.
He slew of Edom in the valley of Salt 10,000, and took Selah by war, and called the name of it Joktheel unto this day.
Right. So one of the things, one of the works of Amaziah is that he took Selah, man. So Edom had rebelled from under the hand of Judah, right? And Amaziah came and he took that place Selah, man, that we were looking at, right? In the archaeology little episode there. He took that place by war, right? And he called the name of it Joktheel unto this day. Go ahead.
Then Amaziah sent messengers to
Amaziah.
Then Amaziah sent messengers to Jehoash, the son of Jehoahaz, son of Jehu, king of Israel, saying, come, let's look one another in the face.
Right.
And Jehoash, the king of Israel, sent to Amaziah, king of Judah, saying, the thistle that was in Lebanon sent to the cedar that was in Lebanon, saying, give thy daughter to my son to wife. And there passed by a wild beast that was in Lebanon, and trode down the thistle.
Mm-hmm.
Thou hast indeed smitten Edom, and thine heart hath lifted thee up.
Mm-hmm.
Glory of this, and tarry at home. For why shouldest thou meddle to thy herd, that thou shouldest fall, even thou, and Judah with thee?
Right. So Amaziah, after winning a victory against Edom, told the king of Israel, which is the northern kingdom, hey, come see me in my face. Right? Meaning like, bring it. Right? You want war, bring it. Right? And Jehoahaz said to him, listen, man, be satisfied with your victory with Edom and leave me alone, right? Because you're gonna end up getting destroyed. Okay, you and Judah with you. Okay, so calm down, basically. All right. So in case we were wondering, hey, did Amaziah really take Edom? Well, we have the chronicler telling us, yeah, he sure did. And then we have Jehoash, who wasn't even friends with him, admitting that Amaziah had taken Selah from Edom. And he's like, yeah, you got those guys, chill, right? So I just wanted to bring that out there, right? So Esau indeed ended up losing Selah between 797 and 767 BC. All right. We'll bring out another scripture on that. Let's get Second Chronicles 25, 11 to 12. Now is that you, Brother Chris, or is that Sister Akira?
Sorry, somebody else is gonna have to read because I'm in the middle of doing something at the moment. I won't be able to.
No problem.
The environment's too loud.
No problem.
Okay.
No problem.
What verse? What is it?
Second Chronicles 25, and let's get 11 to 12, and then we'll also read 14.
25 from verse 11?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And Amaziah strengthened himself, and led forth his people, and went to the valley of Salt, and smote the children of Seir 10,000. And the other 10,000 left alive did the children of Judah carry away captive, and brought them onto the top of the rock, and cast them down from the top of the rock, that they all were broken in pieces.
Mm-hmm.
But the soldiers of the army which Amaziah sent back, that they should not go with him to battle, fell upon the cities of Judah, from Samaria even unto Bethhoron,
From Samaria.
Samaria, even unto Bethhoron, and smote 3,000 of them, and took much spoil.
Right. So stop right there. Amaziah. This gives you more details about the exploit of Amaziah when he took over Selah. Right. It said, hey, he went to the Valley of Salt and he killed 10,000 Edomites. Okay. And then the other 10,000, he took them to the top of the rock and dashed them off the rock. Right. So he killed 20,000 in total in Edom. Okay. And then his soldiers got into folly. They were, attacking the cities of Judah. All right. And taking their stuff. All right. But 14 is the other important piece. Go ahead.
Now it came to pass, after that Amaziah was come from the slaughter of the Edomites, that he brought the gods of the children of Seir, and set them up to be his gods, and bowed himself before them, and burned incense onto them.
Right. So that's a problem there. Okay. So you kill 20,000 Edomites, but then you take the gods of the Edomites and set them up and start worshiping them. Like, not cool, bro. Right. But let's get the receipt on how we know that this happened between 797 and 767 BC. All right. This is, let me just get this here, see if it brings me right there. Yeah, Edwin R. Thiel, this is about Amaziah of Judah. Edwin R. Thiel, okay, Old Testament scholar says here, okay, dates Amaziah's reign from 797 or 796 to 768 or 767 BC, okay. Thiel's chronology has his son Uzziah becoming co-regent with him in the 5th year of his reign in 792 when Uzziah was 16 years old. All right. And this is from this guy's works, The Mysterious Numbers of the Hebrew King. So we looked at this guy for a previous receipt. Here he is again with another receipt telling us about which time, and he's respected as a scholar. Okay. It says here, editor, archaeologist, writer, and scholar of the Old Testament. All right. So we have him here letting us know that between 797 and 767 BC, Amaziah of Judah takes Selah from Edom. All right, that place where they had the temple. All right, took that from Edom. All right, so let's go on to let's go further, closer to the present day. 736 to 731 BC, right? Here's an event that we know occurred as well. Esau takes captives from Judah, okay, during the reign of Ahaz the king. And for that, we can go to 2 Chronicles 28 and 17. Sava, let me get it. 2 Chronicles 28, 17. Oh, wait. Did Saba just read or did Akira just read? Akira, was it you or Saba that just read? I think it was
I
you.
just read.
Yeah, okay. So Saba, let me get 2 Chronicles 28 and verse 17. Give me from verse 16. Second Chronicles 28, 16, and 17. If you're speaking, sorry, call the scripture before you read it, please.
Okay, Second Chronicles 28 and 16. At that time did King Ahaz send unto the king of Assyria to help him.
Mhm.
For again the Edomites had come and smitten Judah and carried away captives.
See that? So the Edomites had come and smitten Judah, okay, and carried away captives. All right. So again, we have from the same guy, Edwin. He said Ahaz was co-regent with Jotham from 736, all right, or 735 BC, and his sole reign began in 732 to 731, and ended in 716 to 751 BC. All right, so what do you call it? Sometime during his reign, the reign of Ahaz, all right, let's see here. One quick second. Edomites killed in Theo's opinion. Ahaz was co-regent with Jotham from 736, and his sole reign began in 732 and ended in 715. So my apologies. This should be at the very earliest about 715 BC. Okay, let me get that here. All right. All right. And we got that receipt here from the same book, The Mysterious Numbers of the Hebrew Kings. All right. So so now we have, after Amaziah takes Selah, right? One of Esau's cities from him. We have Esau now fighting back and taking captives from Judah, man, right? About between 736 and 715 BC. Okay. Now watch this. When we get down to about between 555 and 539 BC, which starts to get into Esau's ancient Greek period. We have an account here of Esau being oppressed by the Babylonians, right? So first we'll get in the scriptures, and then we'll add it up in with the historical record. Okay, so let me get Malachi 1, right? And we can read from 1 to 4. Malachi 1 from 1 to 4. Let me get that, Sister Akira.
Sure, I'm just trying to find it.
Yeah.
Malachi 1. Oh, I found it. Malachi 1 from verse...
From 1 to 4?
Okay. The burden of Yahweh to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, said Yahweh. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us?
Right.
Was not Esau Jacob's brother? Saith Yahweh. Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness.
Okay, so stop right there. Let me see. Who are the dragons of the wilderness?
I'd say the Edomites.
No.
Oh, hold on. And laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness.
Yeah, so the Most High is telling you he's laying Esau's heritage, right? And his mountains waste. Now, mountains is a metaphor for people, right? Nations, okay? That's why in Daniel 2, when we go down, Daniel 2 is about the statue that Daniel dreams about, and then the angel comes and interprets what the statue is to him. Okay. And the interpretation of the dream is this. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, read from 28. Read from 28 in Daniel 2. Saba.
Sorry, me?
No, it's I meant you, but if you're still on the other scripture, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll bring it out. It's fine. It says, but there's a God in heaven that revealeth secrets and maketh known to the king Nebuchadnezzar what shall be when in the latter days. All right. So Daniel's telling Nebuchadnezzar, hey, God is showing you what's gonna happen in the latter days. Okay. Thy dream and the visions of thy head upon thy bed are these. Okay, so the king had put out a decree that unless the wise men of the land couldn't tell him his exact dream and what it meant, he'd kill all the wise men in the land. All right. And Daniel, of course, being a Hebrew and the only one that know the Most High, as far as all of these nations, is able to tell the man his exact dream because the Most High knows. And so Daniel goes and says to him, as for thee, O king, thy thoughts came into thy mind upon thy bed, what should come to pass hereafter? And he that revealeth secrets maketh known to thee what shall come to pass. Okay, I'm going to skip down a bit. 31, thou, O king, sawest, and behold, a great image, meaning a statue. This great statue, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, so in front of you, and the form thereof was terrible, right? So it was a big, terrible statue standing in front of him. He said the image, his head was of fine gold, his breast, his arms of silver, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. Right? So Daniel is explaining to the king, here's what you dream. All right? Good. I'm going to jump down a bit. In 36, he says, this is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. All right? So here's the interpretation. Thou, O king, art a king of kings, for God of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. Daniel just told Nebuchadnezzar that he is the king of kings because God gave him a kingdom, power, strength, and glory, right? So at the time, Nebuchadnezzar was the greatest king of all the kings on the earth, right? And then he goes on to say, remember, he is interpreting what a statue means. And he said to him, let's see, and wheresoever the children of men dwell, 38, the beasts of the field and the fowls of heaven have he given into thy hand, and have made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold. So the head of gold that Nebuchadnezzar saw in his dream represented who? Saba? The head of gold Nebuchadnezzar saw in his dream represented who? Sabs, you there? One. Going once, going twice.
I'm here.
The head of gold that King Nebuchadnezzar saw represented who?
The Israelites.
No. I told you already, don't just guess, brother. Okay, you gotta find a precept. If you can't find a precept, just say you don't know. All right?
Okay.
So it represented him. He just said it. Thou art this head of gold. Meaning you, Nebuchadnezzar, are the head of gold. Okay? Then Daniel goes on and says, after you shall arise another kingdom inferior to you, and a third kingdom of brass which shall bear rule over the whole earth. So the Most High showed Nebuchadnezzar kingdoms were gonna come after him. Now kingdoms are made of sheep or people. Anyone? It's
People.
people. People. People are in kingdoms. Okay. So he goes on and he explains to him that all these various parts that he was seeing were kingdoms that would rise upon the earth. I'll read 41. He says, whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom, that kingdom at the end is going to be divided. But there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, right, which is the kingdom that came before it, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. You see that? So it's going to have the strength of the kingdom before it, but it's going to be a clay kingdom, all right? So it's not going to mix well, okay? And he says, and as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom, again, he's talking about a big set of people being ruled. The kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken, right? Straight up just explaining the dream to him. Okay. So this last kingdom, the feet kingdom, is going to be what? Partly strong and partly broken. Now, the point is coming up where I said the mountains are people. Okay. Whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. Here's the kicker. And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up what? A kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. You see that? God's going to set up a kingdom at the end of all these other kingdoms that will never fall, right? And he said, for as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of a mountain without hands, and that it break in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great God have made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter. The dream is certain, the interpretation and the interpretation thereof is sure. All right. Now let me just go up a little bit here to show you the vision so that you guys can see that the mountain that he's talking about is people. Okay. Let's see here. So he says the stone down there, we just read that the stone was cut out of a mountain. All right. One second. Give me a second here. Thou sawest still that a stone was cut without hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay, and broke them to pieces. Okay. A stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay, and break them in pieces. All right. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, the gold, broken in pieces together, became the chaff of the threshing floor. Wind carried them away, and no place was found for them. Here it is in 35. The stone that smote the image became what? A great mountain, and filled the whole earth. Right? So if the Most High says in 35, the stone that was cut out became a great mountain and filled the whole earth, and then he tells you down here that it's a kingdom that he's going to set up at the end of the world. What is the stone? What is the great mountain that the stone became? Akira, what is the mountain that the stone became? If the Most High said, hey, I set up, in the interpretation, he said he set up a kingdom, but in the dream, in the vision, what the guy saw was the stone becoming a great mountain. So what would the great mountain stand for?
The tribe of Israel.
100%, but specifically, God said he's setting up a kingdom. That's the explanation. In the vision, it says the stone became a great mountain, right? So which part of the vision, which part of the explanation of the vision is the great mountain? I'm gonna put it like this. Again, he said, in the end of the world, he's gonna set up a kingdom that's gonna rule forever, right? That's the explanation. In the vision, he said, a stone shall become a great mountain.
Right.
So what is the stone?
Is the kingdom.
Right. And then what is the great mountain that it becomes?
The tribe of
Well,
Israel.
just reverse that. The stone would be the tribes of Israel, and the great mountain that they become would be the kingdom.
The kingdom.
Right? And that's why he says the kingdom is going to reign forever. That's a great mountain, right? So this is how we know a mountain is metaphor for people. So when we go back to Malachi and he says, I hated Esau and laid his mountains, that's his kingdoms. You understand? Now, not only physically the Most High laid his mountain waste in that he destroyed Edom, right? He also laid his heritage waste, which is, not only his actual physical heritage, which is Mount Seir and that whole land of Edom. Not only is the Most High destroying that, but he's also destroying his kingdoms, okay? Because after Mount Seir, he created many kingdoms. He created the British kingdom, the Spanish kingdom, the Portuguese kingdom, the Russian kingdom, America, which is a democracy, but it's really just a kingdom. All these kingdoms, God says he's going to destroy them, and he's been destroying them, and he'll continue to destroy them until they are destroyed, right? And he said he laid the heritage waste for who? The dragons of the wilderness, okay, which is the point that we want to get to. He said he laid it waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Now we're going to go see. Yeah, everyone follow so far? Is that pretty clear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So now the dragons of the wilderness that he's talking about, we can get that in 2nd Ezra chapter 15, and from verse hmm, from verse 27 to 29. Right? Whose turn is it to read?
I think it's mine.
Okay, go ahead. 2nd Ezra 15 from 27 to 29.
Let me open it.
Actually, go to 30.
Can I read from your screen?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, once you can see it, read it.
Okay, starting from 30?
27 and go to 30.
Okay. For now the plagues come upon the whole earth, and ye shall remain in them. For God shall not deliver you, because ye have sinned against him.
Right, so
Behold,
so that's the fate of the Israelites that do not come back and keep the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. Okay, the punishments for the world is upon them now. Okay, that's why you're seeing all these wars, prices are going up. There's no reversing this thing. It's just gonna get worse and worse and worse. Okay, you can't even afford a place to live. It's terrible. All right. So these are the plagues that the Most High is talking about that's coming upon the world, okay? And the Israelites that did not keep the law, statutes, and commandments, they will not be able to escape. Okay, how do we know it's talking about the Israelites? Because he's talking about people sinning against him, and sin is the transgression of the law, and he gave the law to the Israelites. Go ahead.
behold, an horrible vision, for the appearance therefore from the east.
Uh-huh.
Where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble.
Right, so the Most High said the nations of the dragons of Arabia, okay, is coming out with many chariots. All right, now this is a deeper study, but what he's talking about here is the war that's going to start in the Middle East. Okay. And he say everybody that hear about them is gonna fear and tremble. Why are they fearing and trembling? Because they're afraid of the nuclear bomb that the dragons of Arabia have the potential of dropping on them. In fact, they will drop it on them, according to prophecy, right? Read 30.
Also the Carmanians, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come, and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians.
Yeah, and the Carmanians are Iranians. Okay, so I mean, this is literally happening um, uh, uh, before our very eyes. Okay, Carmania is a historical region that approximately corresponds to the current province of Kerman, Iran. Okay, and was part of the Achaemenid Empire. All right. So when the Most High tell them the dragons of Arabia are gonna come out against them with many chariots, okay? Arabia, is that a wet place or a dry place?
Dry?
Yep. It is a very, very dry place. Okay, let's look at it on the map. You see all the green? You guys see all the green? Y'all see all the, yep, the green, as we can see here. Let's look at the Caribbean. It's all green. That's tropics. All right. Brazil, it's mostly green. Tropics. Everywhere you see the light brown, those are desert lands. This is the Sahara Desert. Look at Arabia. The whole place is dry. Okay? The whole place is dry. All right? So when the Most High talks about the dragons of the wilderness, that's who he's talking about. He's talking about the Arabians. He's also talking about the Babylonians. He's talking about the Iranians as well. Because look, this is where Babylon would be, around the river Euphrates, which is around here. Okay, let's see if I can find it. There we go. All right. Sorry, I went a bit far there. Okay, so Babylon is here. Okay, is the river Euphrates. So Babylon is around here, coming to the Persian Gulf. Got to remember that, right? Coming to the Persian Gulf, right? This is the area of Babylon, around here. Okay. So the Most High say these guys, all right, the dragons of Arabia and the kings of the East. Now, the kings of the East is talking about China, Russia, and all the other the BRICS nations, all right, that are against America right now. All right. Prophetically, it's talking about them, right? And prophetically, it was also talking about the fact that Esau would be kicked out of his land, which is here between the Gulf of Aqaba here, Gulf of Aqaba, right? And the Dead Sea, which is the Salt Sea, really is from here, about the Valley of Salt, around the Valley of Salt. And the Most High tell you, hey, he'd be kicked out of that land, right? And that's what Malachi is talking about. So let me see here. I think I'm done with Daniel 2. We have the dragons of Arabia. Let's go back to Malachi. All right. So when he says dragons of the wilderness, that's what he's talking about, because is Arabia a wilderness or not? Is Arabia a wilderness or not?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And the area of Babylon, is that a wilderness or not? Right? We just saw it. Is that a wilderness?
Yes.
Yes, it's a wilderness, right? The fertility is around the rivers, but most of that land is wilderness. Okay. And the Most High said, listen, man, I'm laying Esau's mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness, man. Let the dragons of the wilderness take it. Okay. And then we're going to see in the historical record where the Most High made the dragons of the wilderness take Esau's mountain. Okay. In Seir. So go ahead with verse 4, because verse 4 is really important for later on. All right, go ahead.
Sorry, can I get it on your screen?
Yeah, you don't see it?
Oh, okay, sorry.
Malachi 1, verse 4.
Okay. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus said Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahweh hath in indignation forever.
Right, indignation, which is anger forever, right? Now, there's a few really important tidbits here. The Most High said Esau at a time is going to say, we're impoverished, but we're going to return and build the desolate places. Which desolate places is this talking about? Right?
The caves?
The caves, right? He's like, okay, they took our caves, but we're going to come back and build them again. And we literally just saw in the documentary, the man's signature is all over the caves. So he did come and build the caves again, right? But who lives there now? No one. Which is why that's fulfillment of a prophecy when the Most High say, oh yeah, you're gonna build, but I'm still gonna throw it down. And everyone is gonna call you the border of wickedness and the people against whom the Most High have indignation forever. Right? So he told him, hey, I'm laying your mountains and your heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. And the Most High did it, right? And we're going to go through the timeline to show you step by step exactly how the Most High did it, right? So we're just going to read this last, what's the word? Account here. And I think we'll wrap up here for today. Yeah, yeah, because there's a lot to go. I think we'll wrap up here for today. Um, or we can take a break and come and do this part and until we get to down here. What do you guys feel like? Because if we take a break, this is gonna take at least another hour. What you call it? Yeah, if we take a break here, going through this portion um until we get to the conclusion here, right, where we can begin part three, next week, Lord willing, we'll take another hour. So where are people's heads at? Do you guys want to take a break and then come back for an hour, or you guys want to save it for next week and come back fresh next week and do that other part there?
Brother Ken said we can take a break.
Who said that?
A brother on the line.
Okay, a brother on the line said we can take a break and come back. Okay, cool. Any other votes? How's everybody feeling? Is everyone okay with taking a break and coming back for another hour?
How long would the break be?
I'd say 15, 20 minutes. You know what? Yeah. You know what, you guys? Let's break it up. Let's break it up. Yeah,
Okay.
because I don't want to make I really don't want to make these things too long because I want to be able to break them up in digestible pieces where people can sit, they can, get a good part of it and then go back and come again and enjoy the next part, kind of, where people can enjoy each part in one sitting, right? So they might have to sit down 3 times, 4 times, whatever, to get the whole account of what's going on. But at the end of the day, it wasn't overwhelming for them. All right. So I think we should wrap at the end of this piece of account and then come fresh next week and get the second half of this portion, and then we can go into the cover up after that, Lord willing. Okay, so I think we'll do it like that. I think that's the best thing to do. So you finished Malachi, right? Did you finish Malachi there? Yeah, you did. They're gonna call them the border of wickedness and the people against whom Yahweh have indignation forever. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So now let's get this account read here, right? I'm gonna bring this out. It says Malachi is set in the same time period that the historical record shows Babylon conquering Edom. Okay, so let's look at this here. Remember, the Most High told you he's going to lay his mountains waste for the dragons of Arabia. Okay, and this happened between 555 and 539 BC. Okay, so here from Britannica, it says the book, this is about the book of Malachi. It says the book belongs to the first half of the 5th century BC. First half of the 5th century BC means first half of the 5th century would be 450, right? Because you get into the 5th century and then 500 becomes 499, becomes so on and so forth. Okay, so that's how they do it. The book belongs to the first half of the 5th century BC, for it clearly presupposes the reconstruction temple dedicated in 516 BC, but does not reflect the reconstitution of the religious community that took place under Nehemiah and Ezra about 450 BC. Okay, so sorry, I might have made a mistake there. I think the 5th century would be anything in the 5s basically, and then the 4th century is anything in the 4s, right? You guys can correct me on that if I'm wrong, but that's how I understand it. So it says the book of Malachi belongs to the first half of the 5th century, which, if I'm correct, would be about 550 BC. All right. So that's when that was about the time that was written. Okay. Now look at this historical record telling you that about the same time what happened. It said the clearest indication is, let's maybe just go straight to it here from biblical archaeology. Let me see if I have it highlighted. Yeah, okay. From biblicalarchaeology.org. It says, but the clearest indication of Selah's importance during the time of the Edomites, Selah, if we remember, is Selah, comes from a monumental relief carved into a sheer rock face, okay, about halfway up the steepest part of the mountain. So this is the thing that was carved, all right? The heavily worn but clearly discernible Mesopotamian style relief, okay, that was found in Selah, okay, uh, shows a royal figure with a canonical cap. And keep in mind that sometimes they call Selah Petra. They use that name interchangeably. So there is a place, the temple place that we looked at called Selah, but sometimes people use Petra interchangeably with Selah. So keep that in mind. It says, but the earliest indication of Selah's importance during the time of the Edomites comes from a monumental relief carved into a sheer rock face about halfway up the steepest part of the mountain. The heavily worn but clearly discernible Mesopotamian style relief shows a royal figure with a conical cap carrying a long staff and facing symbols of the sun, moon, and stars. These figures are surrounded by the faint traces of a lengthy Neo-Babylonian cuneiform inscription, all right? So these figures are close to a Neo-Babylonian inscription, all right, which would be somewhere around here. It says, inscription, much too worn to be read. The scene's iconography, however, strongly suggests it was carved to commemorate the conquest. God said he's going to lay his mountains waste to the dragons of the wilderness and the dragons of Arabia. Prophetically, it says here it was carved to commemorate the conquest of Selah and Edom. So not only did the Babylonians conquer Selah, they also conquered the whole of Edom. Just like the Most High said was going to happen. We have it written here in their historical record, right? Matching up with the same time that they tell you the book of Malachi was written around, okay? And we just read from Malachi that God condemned Esau mountain to destruction and his heritage to destruction, right? So this is incredible, right? It's just a 360-degree fulfillment of prophecy, right? It says here, the conquest of Selah and Edom during the southern campaign of the Babylonian king Nabonidus. It even tells you who did it. Nabonidus. 555 to 539 BC. That's why I put that date there. Okay, because it tells you between what dates this man conquered Selah and the whole of Edom. Okay, who famously took up residence in northwest Arabia during much of his reign. So the man moved in to Esau's mountains. And what you're gonna see is that soon after this, Esau starts to show up in Europe. After the Babylonian kick him out of his mountain, he started to show up in big numbers in Europe. Now, was he there before? Yes, we looked at a few of the dates, actually around the 800s, where I said he probably already went up there by then. Remember, Esau owns the King's Highway. Let me just pull this up. And the King's Highway goes all the way up into, guess where? Europe. So if you own the King's Highway for millennia, right? Is it far-fetched to believe that you know the beginning and end of your highway? Is it far-fetched to believe that you send traders and caravans and scouts up and down your highway so they know where your highway starts and where your highway ends? That would not be unreasonable at all. In fact, you would be an idiot not to do that as a king. And one thing we know about the eagle is the eagle be spying out things. Okay, so says here, who famously took up residence in northwest Arabia during much of his reign. Northwest Arabia is exactly where Edom is. I mean, I don't have to pull that up because he told you he took over Edom. Okay.
Okay, Dad, I gotta go now, alright?
Okay, buddy. Shalom.
Shalom. Talk to you later.
Talk to you later. It says, of course, none of this sheds any light on Amaziah's slaughter of the Edomites as recorded in the Bible. Indeed, other candidates of biblical Selah have been proposed, namely the steep-sided mountain of Uma el Biara in nearby Petra. Although we won't know more about Selah's Edomite history until the site is systematically explored and excavated, the available evidence shows that this fascinating mountaintop stronghold was certainly an important place of refuge for the Edomites during the Iron Age, at least down until the time of Nabonidus and perhaps during the reign of Amaziah as well. Let's see when this Iron Age is. So they say, hey, at least from the Iron Age, this place was important to Esau. There it is, family. The Iron Age started between 12 and 600 BC, according to them. Okay, depending on the region. Okay, that's what they call the Iron Age. Okay, they say Esau been there from at least that time. And when we looked at last week, I believe, when we looked at it, pretty sure Esau himself was born about 18 something. Yep, so before this Iron Age, man, Esau was already there, man. 1836. Let me see if I got the receipt here for the 1836. Where is it? (1836) here. Esau's date of birth. Okay. All right, amazing Bible timeline. Just to quickly touch on it, the first two sons born, Rebekah and Isaac, his birth was in 1836 BC, according to the biblical timeline. All right, so their own experts came up with 1836. Okay, so Esau was in those desert caves way before the Iron Age that we just read about, man. Right? And sorry, and here from Britain. Whoops. Where is the thing I just had up? There we go. Okay. He was there since that time, and more importantly, the Babylonian king Nabonidus between 555 and 539 BC took over his land. Okay, and this is the time where he begins the mass exodus and colonization of so-called Europe. All right, so we're gonna end here for today. All right. So we can come back with fresh minds and look at the next phase of Esau in history, which is where he steals the identity of the Japhites in the land of Japheth and begins calling himself a European. All right. So with that, all praise to the Most High. I pray that you guys were edified. We'll bust a prayer, blow the trumpet, and give you guys some time to feast for the rest of your Shabbat, right? All right, so let me just blow the trumpet here real quick. Let's get the trumpet going. Sorry, do apologize.
Shalom, shalom, the house of Israel. Hey, it's another beautiful evening. It's about to come in. You already know we're getting ready for the Shabbat, right? So Shabbat shalom to all my family out there. I'm gonna go ahead and let it rip. This is my tradition. Every Shabbat, I like to bring it in, you know what I'm saying? And when the Shabbat's going on, I like to take it out. You know what I'm saying? In peace, in shalom, and great salutations, you know what I'm saying? So we're gonna go ahead and let it rip, and we're gonna make the heathens mad. You hear what I'm saying? Here it is, here we go. Shabbat shalom, the king is coming. Bless y'all.
I'm about my father's business. I'm about my father's business. This mission has no limits. This mission has no limits. Stacking his knowledge to spend it. Stacking his knowledge to spend it. Don't even need me a minute. I don't even need me a minute. And no one can.